I wasn't supposed to fall for the man who hid me away, but when the world tried to erase me, he held on, like he'd been waiting all along. This is the story of how I was claimed, not with power, but with quiet protection. This is my story, let's begin. I don't remember what I was wearing the night everything broke, but I remember the sound of the knock. It wasn't rushed, wasn't loud. It was deliberate, like someone wanted to be heard, but not by everyone. I was in the back study of the estate, behind the main wing, past the hall no one uses except when they want to be left alone. It's where I go when I want silence. Not the kind that feels cold or empty, the kind that feels like protection. I didn't get silence that night. I got him. The door creaked open before I could answer. I turned, annoyed, already forming a sharp remark, but the words died in my throat. Antonio Caruso stood in the doorway, unsmiling, shoulders straight, hands clasped behind his back like he was ready for orders, or war. But it was his eyes that made me sit up. They weren't angry, they weren't impatient. They were tense, heavy, focused entirely on me. Something was wrong. "Lucia," he said quietly, "you need to come with me." My spine straightened. "Why?" "I've been instructed not to explain." "I didn't ask what you were allowed to say," I replied. "I asked why." His jaw flexed. "Your father said now, no discussion." My throat tightened. "Is someone hurt?" "No." "Then I'm not going anywhere until someone tells me what's happening." He hesitated, just for a second, and that's when I knew. "It's me, isn't it?" I whispered. "I'm the reason." Antonio didn't move, didn't nod, didn't speak. But silence in that moment was answer enough. I stood slowly, my heartbeat louder than my thoughts. "How long do I have?" 10 minutes. 15 if you move fast." "To pack? To say goodbye? You think that's wise?" I stared at him. "Will I be safe?" His voice didn't waver. "Yes." I didn't say goodbye. Not to Isabella. Not to Gianna. Not to Sophia, who would have followed me straight into the dark without a second thought. Because if I saw them, if I saw the look in their eyes, I might have refused to leave. And somehow I knew refusing wasn't an option. Antonio waited outside my bedroom door as I packed. No questions, no pacing, just stillness. When I stepped out with a single bag, he took it from me without asking, like it was already his job to carry what I couldn't hold. The drive was long, longer than it needed to be. No headlights behind us, no landmarks I recognized, just the deep silence of the countryside swallowing us whole. I didn't ask where we were going, and he didn't offer it, but I kept my eyes on the rearview mirror anyway. The safe house wasn't what I expected. No weapons cache, no bunker, no heavy steel doors or emergency buttons, just a cabin, a real one, old but solid, perched on a wooded hill, tucked so far back it felt like the world forgot it existed. One porch light glowed like a heartbeat, warm, unsettling. Antonio parked without a word. When he opened my door, I didn't move. "You're going to tell me why," I said. "Not tonight." "Then when?" "When it's safe." I narrowed my eyes. "That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now." He carried my bag inside. I followed, arms folded tight across my chest. The interior was clean, bare, lived in just enough to prove it had been prepared. There was a small kitchen, a low-burning fireplace, and a bed. One bed. I stared at it, then turned sharply. "You brought me to a one-room safe house with one bed?" His face didn't change. "You won't be alone," he said, "but I won't touch you." And I'm just supposed to believe that? Yes. I stood in the middle of the room, unwilling to sit, unwilling to act like I accepted any of this. "I don't need a babysitter," I muttered. He walked past me, slow and steady, then set my bag on the dresser. "You're not being babysat," he said. "You're being protected." "From what?" He turned to face me. His eyes were darker than before, quieter. "From something your father doesn't trust you to see coming." I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid, because I was angry. Angry that no one told me what was coming. Angry that I was taken like a child. Angry that the man standing between me and the outside world wasn't a stranger, but someone who'd been in my periphery for years and never said a word. Antonio stayed by the door. Not pacing, not standing over me, just present, a silhouette in the firelight. At one point, I heard him shift. I turned in the dark, my voice quiet but sharp. "You don't sleep?" "Not when I'm on watch." "Always the soldier?" "Yes." I rolled over, pulling the blanket tighter. "I don't trust you." "I know. You should have fought for me to stay." His voice was steady. "I did." That silenced me, because I didn't believe it, but I wanted to. I must have slept for a few hours. When I woke, the sun was low in the sky and Antonio was in the same place, still near the door, still watching the world outside like it owed him something. He didn't turn when I stirred, but his voice found me anyway. "You're safe." Not a command, not a warning, just a reminder. And for the first time since I was taken, I almost believed it. I've never liked being watched, which is ironic considering I've been under surveillance most of my life. But this is different. This is one man. One room, and nowhere to hide. The first full day in the cabin is quiet. Too quiet. There's no cell signal, no internet, not even a landline I can sneak a call through when he's asleep, which I'm beginning to think he never does. Antonio Caruso is unnervingly still. Still when he sits, still when he moves, still when he says nothing for hours but somehow fills the entire room anyway. I try not to look at him, but it's impossible not to notice him. The way his frame takes up the armchair like it was built to hold him. The way he watches the trees like they're whispering secrets only he understands. I find myself wondering what kind of man volunteers for this kind of assignment. What kind of man chooses silence over power? And then I remember. He chose me. He volunteered to protect me, and I don't know what to do with that. The tension builds fast, not the kind that explodes, the kind that thickens, coats the air, wraps around you like fog, and refuses to lift. I cook because I need to do something with my hands. He doesn't offer to help, but when I burn my thumb pulling the pan from the oven, he's there in an instant. He doesn't say anything, just runs cool water over my hand, then holds it gently in his while the sting fades. His touch is careful. His eyes aren't, they burn. But when I pull away, he lets me. No questions, no explanations, just returns to his chair like nothing happened. Night comes fast in the woods, too fast. And when I glance at the bed, my throat tightens. There's only one pillow, one blanket, no couch, no second room, and Antonio, for all his soldier silence, finally speaks. "You take the bed." I cross my arms. "I'm not going to pretend that makes this normal." "It's not." "Then why are we pretending it is?" He exhales, looks at me for a long moment. "Because pretending is safer than what happens if we stop." I don't know what to say to that. So I climb into the bed. I face the wall. I don't sleep. Around 2 a.m, thunder rolls in, a low growl at first, then louder, closer, until it sounds like the whole cabin might shake off its foundation. The rain starts hard and doesn't let up. Wind rattles the windows. Tree branches scrape the roof like fingers trying to find a way in. I sit up. Not because I'm scared, because I'm angry that I'm starting to be scared. And somehow that's worse. Antonio doesn't move. He's seated by the door again, one arm draped over the back of the chair, a book in his lap he's not reading. I don't know why I ask what I do. Maybe it's the storm. Maybe it's the way my chest feels like it's going to tear open if I don't say something real. "Do you ever get tired of always being alone?" His eyes lift slowly. "Meet mine." "No," I nod. "Of course. That's what I figured." He closes the book, sets it aside. "But that doesn't mean I like it." The air between us shifts, not soft, not yet, but honest, and that's more dangerous. He doesn't move toward me, doesn't ask if I'm okay, but his voice is low when he speaks again. "Storms always wake you?" I hesitate. Yes. Why? I used to think someone would use them as cover. And now? I look at him and say the truth before I can take it back. Now I'm starting to think the quiet after is worse. He nods once, doesn't ask more, doesn't make it about himself. He just watches me like I'm allowed to say things like that. Like I'm allowed to be someone other than the composed daughter, the strategist, the unshakable one. I lie back down, but this time I face him. And when my eyes finally close, I fall asleep to the sound of rain and the quiet knowledge that someone is still watching. But not in the way I used to fear. The rain doesn't stop for 2 days. It's constant, steady, the kind of weather that wears on your nerves when you're already holding things too tightly inside. By the second morning, I stop pretending I don't mind the quiet, because the truth is, I do. But I mind the silence between us more. Antonio hasn't changed clothes. I don't think he's even left the porch, except to sleep. Which, apparently, he only does in 90-minute intervals stretched across the day like a soldier in a war zone. I'm the only one pacing, the only one stirring tea leaves I don't want, flipping pages of a book I can't absorb, folding and refolding the same damn blanket over the foot of the bed. He watches me. I know he does, but not in the way men usually do. Not like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve or a trophy he wants to touch. He watches me like I already matter. And he's just waiting for me to realize it. That night I snap, not with yelling, not with a storm, just a single sharp breath that breaks in my throat. I stand by the window and say, I don't know who I am here. His voice is soft behind me. You're Lucia. No, I'm not. I turn, and I feel it rise in me, not rage, not pride. Loneliness. I'm the sister they keep out of the rooms where real things happen. I'm the quiet one, the overlooked one, the one no one thinks they have to lie to because no one thinks I'll ask questions. You ask, he says. Yes. And when I do, people look at me like I've broken something sacred. Antonio stands, moves to the table, doesn't come closer, just sits, waits. You think your family doesn't see you? I know they don't. I do. I freeze. The words are simple, but they cut through me. I sit down across from him, not because I want to, but because I don't trust my legs to hold me. I don't speak, and neither does he. Until I do. What happened, Antonio? He knows what I mean. What forced this? What threat pulled me out of my world and dropped me into this one? He doesn't dodge it. He leans back and says, someone inside the family moved money from one of your accounts to a shell corporation linked to a rival. My pulse stutters. He sees it. It was meant to make it look like you were feeding information. Was I? No. But if they made the evidence clean enough, someone else might have believed it. Who? He doesn't blink. Your father. I swallow. Hard. You think he doubted me? I think he didn't want to risk it. Not even for a second. That's the part that breaks something in me. Not the danger, the decision. To remove me, to bury me away from sight instead of facing the lie head on. Why didn't he just ask me? Because if you were guilty, Antonio says slowly, he would have had to decide what to do. And if I wasn't, he would have had to face that someone close to him used you as bait. I press a hand to my temple. It hurts. Not because of betrayal, because of how unsurprising it feels. So, I say bitterly, what happens now? We wait until they clear my name and let me back in like nothing happened? No. What then? His voice lowers. You decide what you want, and I make sure you live long enough to get it. I look at him. Really look at him. He doesn't flinch, doesn't waver. I study the line of his jaw, the broad strength of his shoulders, the stillness he holds like armor. You knew before they told you, didn't you? He doesn't pretend. Yes. And you volunteered to come with me? I did. Why? This time the answer takes longer. But when it comes, it's not what I expect. Because the last time I saw you cry, he says softly, you were 13, and you were alone, and no one in that house noticed but me. My throat catches. You remember that? Yes. I don't even remember that. He nods. That's why I came. We don't speak again for a while. Just sit. The fire crackles, the wind shifts, and I feel something loosening in my chest, something I didn't know I was holding on to. Later, after I lie in the bed and face the window again, I feel him move, not toward me, just across the room, but I know he sees me, knows I'm not asleep. And before the silence returns fully, I whisper, thank you. He doesn't answer. But in the dark, I hear the smallest sound, the quietest exhale, like maybe he'd been holding his breath too. I need to pause here, because this is where I stopped pretending I didn't want to be close to him. Not because he said the right things. He didn't say much at all. It was the way he looked at me, like I wasn't just something to protect, but something worth choosing. And when I heard him say he remembered the moment I broke, when I didn't even remember it myself, that's when the walls started to slip. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to wonder what it might feel like to fall asleep without bracing for impact. Enough to want his voice in the dark. Let's get back to what's coming next. The rain finally stops. But the silence it leaves behind is louder than thunder ever was. It settles into the walls of the cabin, thick and expectant, like it knows what we've both been pretending not to feel. The sunlight returns by midday, pale, cold, but still light. I crack the shutters open for the first time in days, and something shifts inside me. The ache in my chest doesn't lift, but it loosens, enough to breathe without tension, enough to look at Antonio without flinching. He's cleaning his gun at the table, methodical, precise, silent, but his eyes track my movements every time I cross the room. I feel them, even when my back is turned, especially then. I don't know how long we last like that. Quiet orbit, shared space, slow burn, until dusk settles and the lights flicker on, until I sit beside the fire and finally ask what I've been holding back. Do you always wait for someone else to make the first move? He doesn't look at me. Just finishes reassembling the weapon, then answers quietly, only when it matters. I swallow. I don't ask if this matters. I don't need to, because I already know. I sit on the bed. He stays at the table, still as stone, until I speak again. My family sent me away, not to protect me, but to protect themselves. He nods once. I know. You didn't have to come. No. But you did. I did. My voice cracks. Why? His answer is a breath, not a command, because you needed someone who wouldn't look away. I don't remember standing or crossing the space between us, but 1 second I'm staring at him from across the room, and the next, I'm standing in front of him, close enough to feel the heat rising off his skin. I don't touch him. Not yet. I just look at him and say, I'm tired of pretending I don't want to be seen. That's when he rises, slowly. Like he's giving me time to step back. I don't. He lifts one hand, brushes a strand of hair behind my ear, then pulls it away, as if even that small contact might be too much. I catch his wrist, hold it, and press it gently against my cheek. The moment is quiet. Not breathless, not desperate, just real. I feel his pulse under my hand, steady, strong, but there's tension in it. Restraint, like he's holding himself back for my sake, like he's still giving me every opportunity to walk away. I don't. I lean in and I kiss him. It's slow, careful, like both of us are waiting for the other to flinch, but neither of us does. His hand comes to the small of my back, warm, wide, anchoring, and when my breath shudders, his thumb moves, just once. A silent reassurance. We break the kiss, but he doesn't step away, doesn't speak, just rests his forehead against mine and lets the moment breathe. I whisper, is this going to ruin everything? His voice is low. No, this is the only thing that makes sense. I laugh softly. It's the first time I've laughed in days, maybe weeks, and it doesn't feel out of place. It feels safe, like something I can give him, not something I need to hide. We don't rush. We don't undress like a movie scene. We stay fully clothed, sitting on the edge of the bed, arms wrapped around each other, like that's the only thing we needed all along. When I pull him closer, he doesn't resist. And when I press a kiss to his jaw, slow and warm and deliberate, his breath catches. But he still doesn't move too fast. Still waits for me to lead. His hands are strong and sure, but never demanding. My back, my waist, the base of my spine, all the places that say I'm here before they ever say I want. When we finally lie down together, it's not about heat. It's about exhale, about quiet, about the first time in weeks I feel like I can close my eyes and not be afraid. He holds me like we have all night, like he's willing to wait. But I don't want to wait. Not anymore. I shift in his arms until I'm curled into him, head beneath his chin, heartbeat pressed to heartbeat. And I whisper, don't let me go when the world comes back. He answers instantly, I won't. Then softer, you're not alone anymore. That night, I fall asleep with his hand at my back, and for the first time since this began, I don't wake from the storm because it's gone, and so is the fear. I wake up with his breath in my hair, soft, warm, steady. His hand is still at my back. He didn't move during the night. Not once. And neither did I. It's the first time I've slept straight through since they took me from the city. And it's not the cabin, or the silence, or the storm finally clearing. It's him. I should be scared of that I've let someone in this far. But I'm not. I just lie there in the morning light, listening to the world breathe around us, and I wonder how long this quiet will last. Not long, it turns out. The knock comes before noon. 3 sharp raps, not threatening, not frantic, but not expected, and definitely not welcome. Antonio's hand finds my wrist before I even lift my head. He's already up, already at the window, already reaching for the weapon he left on the table last night. Everything about him changes in an instant, soft to steel, warm to lethal. But he doesn't shout, doesn't panic. He just says, stay here. Then he moves. I hear voices outside, low, controlled, but I recognize one of them. Lorenzo, one of my father's enforcers, sharp suit, blunt hands, cold loyalty. He's not here for a social call. I step to the window. Antonio is standing with him, body angled slightly between the cabin door and Lorenzo's line of sight. His posture says everything. Don't try it. I press my hand to the window pane and wait. Eventually Antonio comes back in, closes the door behind him, sets the lock, then the bolt. Then he looks at me. And I know before he says anything. Something shifted. They found something, he says. What kind of something? He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he crosses to the table, pulls a thin file from the inside of his jacket and lays it flat in front of me. Inside, photos, documents, a wire transfer with my name on it, and a signature I don't recognize. The amount is small enough to slip under the radar, but just big enough to mean something to the wrong people. They think it's mine, I whisper. He nods. Once, your name, your access code, but not my signature. No. Then why does this matter? Because the man who received the money was killed last night. I sit down, not hard, not in shock, just to keep from falling. They think I had something to do with it. They think someone wants them to believe you did. My throat is dry. What are they going to do? Nothing yet. Your father's waiting on more information. And what are you going to do? He doesn't hesitate. Keep you here where they can't get to you, but they already found us. They didn't come with orders. I stare at him, but they might next time. His jaw flexes. Yes. I look at the file again. It's neat, clean, too clean. A forged trail dressed in precision, and it makes my skin crawl. Someone's framing me. Yes, but why? Antonio leans forward and says the one thing I hadn't let myself consider, because someone wants to make sure you don't come back. I feel the shift in my chest. Fear. Not for my life, but for my place, my identity, my name. If I'm erased quietly, without noise or proof or violence, what's left of me? I push the file away, wrap my arms around my ribs and whisper, I don't think I want to go back. Antonio doesn't blink. Then don't. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. He says it like a vow, like he's ready to burn down the whole order if I ask him to. And that terrifies me, but it also steadies me. I trusted them, I say. My whole life, I followed every rule. I kept my head down. I played the part. You were never just playing a part. Then why is it so easy for them to believe I'd betray them? Because they never took the time to see you. His voice is quiet, but it carries more truth than anything in the file, and I feel something break, not like glass, clicking open. I look at him, and I ask the question I've been circling since the first night. Why did you come, Antonio? Really? He doesn't look away, because I've been waiting for a reason to protect you out loud. I blink. What? You were always the quiet one, the smart one, the one they leaned on but never lifted, and I saw it. I saw you, and the moment your name came up, I didn't wait for permission. I whisper, you chose me. Yes. There's silence after that, but it doesn't feel like absence. It feels like ground settling after an earthquake. I step toward him. He stands, slow, waiting, and when I place my hands on his chest, I feel his heart beneath my fingers. Strong, steady, mine. I lean in, he does too. But we don't kiss this time, we just hold each other like something has been taken from us, and we're not going to let the next thing go without a fight. That night, I don't ask him to sleep beside me, and he doesn't ask if he's allowed. He just slides in beside me, warm, real, present. His hand finds mine beneath the blanket, and I say, I don't need them to believe me. He answers, I do. The first sound I hear is steel on glass. It's faint, quick, but not imagined. I sit up in bed. The fire has gone out. Antonio's not beside me. I pull the blanket around my shoulders and step to the window. The forest is black and silent, except for the low pulse of crickets. But I can feel it. That weight in the air, like something is holding its breath, waiting. Then, I see him. Antonio, crouched low near the trees, weapon drawn, his frame half-shadowed behind the generator. He's not moving toward danger. He's waiting for it. I don't think. I pull on boots, grab the cold metal flashlight from the shelf, and slip out the back exit. Antonio doesn't flinch when I appear behind him. He just says, stay low. I crouch beside him. What is it? Movement. 2 men. Quiet. They knew where the cameras were. My stomach knots. Do they know we're here? They're not sure, but they're checking. How close? He looks at me. His voice is quiet. They're already on the property. I should be scared. I know that. Not, but all I can think is, he's between them and me. Again, and he's not leaving. Go back inside, he says. No. His jaw tightens. Lucia, no. He holds my stare, but I don't break. I whisper, you don't get to carry this alone anymore. Something in his eyes softens. Not weakness. Just acceptance. Then he nods, and we move. The cabin isn't just a safe house. It's a trap if you let it be. So we don't. Antonio checks the door, bolts it, pulls down the blackout covers, switches to emergency power. Then he tucks me behind the fireplace wall. Stay here. Last option is out the cellar. What's the first? He lifts his weapon. End it before they step inside. I reach for his hand. He doesn't expect it, but he lets me take it, and when I hold it to my chest, I whisper, "You come back to me." He answers like it's already been decided. I will. He disappears into the dark. I wait. I count every second. 600 pass. Then silence. And then footsteps. I tense until his shadow fills the door. No blood. No wound. Just his voice. They're gone. I don't ask how. He doesn't offer. He closes the door, resets the locks, and drops the weapon with a careful breath. And then he looks at me, but not like before. This time, there's no space between us. Just one choice. One breath. One beat away from everything we haven't said out loud. I walk to him. He meets me halfway. His hands are cold when they slide around my waist, but I don't flinch. I press my forehead to his chest. Feel the tremor there. Not fear. Adrenaline. Control. Barely held restraint. I whisper, "You didn't have to protect me like that." "Yes, I did." "Why?" His voice breaks, just enough to crack me open. "Because losing you is the one thing I don't know how to survive." I look up. His eyes aren't guarded. They're wide open. And for once, the walls are down on both sides. I lift my hand to his face, trace the edge of his jaw, and say the one thing I've wanted to say since the moment I first saw him standing in that doorway. Then don't lose me. He kisses me like he's answering a vow, like he's keeping a promise. It's not careful this time. It's not slow, but it's still safe, because his hands never press, never pull. They just hold and guide and give. We don't speak for a long time. Not with words, just touches, breaths. His palm at the base of my neck, my fingers curled in the front of his shirt, the way he lowers me to the bed like he's afraid I'll break, but looks at me like I never could. This isn't about the fire. It's about the stillness after it, the way his arms fold around me after, the way his lips find my temple like a whisper he couldn't say out loud, the way we lie in silence, nothing between us now but the truth. "You're not going back," he says. I don't answer with words. I just turn toward him, tuck my head beneath his jaw, and let my body answer for me. No, I'm not. And if the world wants to find me now, it'll have to get through him first. This is the moment. I should have walked away. Of course I didn't. And I need you to hear what happened next. Because when I let him kiss me like that, like I was already his, like I'd always been, I stopped pretending this was just protection. It wasn't. Not anymore. It was safety. It was choice. It was a man who stood between me and the world and asked for nothing in return. And after the danger passed, when we lay in the dark and I felt his breath at my neck, I knew he wasn't just hiding me from the war. He was the only part of it I didn't want to leave behind. Let's get back to what he does next. When we return to the city, nothing looks the same. Not the streets, not the skyline, not the faces waiting at the gates of my father's estate. Because I'm not the same. And neither is Antonio. He parks in front of the Moretti house, not down the block, not at the side entrance, the front, like we were expected, like we were invited, but we both know we weren't. I sit still for a full minute before moving. "Are you sure about this?" He turns the engine off, looks at me. "Yes." "What if they hate you for this?" "They already do." His voice doesn't carry resentment. Just fact. I'm not walking in as their soul, Lucia. I'm walking in as the man who protected you when they wouldn't. I take a breath. It's the only thing keeping me upright. He comes around to open my door. Not rushed, not performative, just steady, just him. There are 6 men in suits waiting outside the doors. One of them is Nico Lombardi. He doesn't nod, doesn't smirk, but he steps aside. And I realize he knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Inside, the air is cold. My father stands at the far end of the room. Isabella, Sophia, Gianna, all of them are there, but it's his face I look at first, and I wait for him to speak. He doesn't, not right away. It's Antonio who breaks the silence. She's here on her terms. The room shifts, tension ripples. My father's eyes narrow. "You bring my daughter back like she's your offering?" "No," Antonio says evenly. "I bring her back because she chose not to run." Silence, thick, taut, until I step forward and say, "I didn't come back for you." His gaze cuts to me. "I came back to say that I know who I am now." "And who is that?" "Someone you didn't believe in, but someone who's still standing." The moment holds. He doesn't soften, but he doesn't break either. Just says, "Do you know what they were going to do, Lucia, if we hadn't moved you?" I nod. "Yes, I know what it looked like. And yet, you still walked in here with the man who disappeared. You without permission. I lift my chin. No. I walked in with the man who saw me. My father looks at Antonio, then at me, then at the silence in the room, thick as blood. And he says, "You're not a soldier anymore, Caruso." Antonio doesn't flinch. I never was. Then what are you? Antonio looks at me. His voice is soft but not small. Exactly who she needs. I don't know what I expect next. Anger, dismissal, orders to leave. But what comes is stillness, a long-waited breath. Then my father nods, once, and turns away. That's the closest thing I'll ever get to approval. And I take it. Not for him, for me. Because I didn't return to be accepted. I returned to end the question, to say this is who I am and this is who I chose. Later, when the estate has quieted and the sun has dipped behind the city skyline, we sit on the rooftop of my apartment. Antonio hasn't said much, but I know he's watching everything. Not for danger. For me. Always me. I lean into him. His arm wraps around my waist, and I ask what's been pressing on my chest since the moment he stepped through my door that first night. What now? He looks out at the city, then down at me, and says, "Whatever you want." I think about it. I let the quiet settle. Then I whisper, "I want a life where no one has to choose for me again." He nods. "You have that now." I smile, and then I say the thing that seals it. "I want you in it." His fingers tighten slightly against my hip. I'm not going anywhere. We don't speak again. We just sit there, shoulder to shoulder, as the lights of the city flicker awake below us. And for the first time since this began, I feel like I've come home. Not to a house, to a person, to him. I never thought peace would feel like this. Not quiet, not slow, but steady, like a rhythm I hadn't learned to hear before. The days after returning to the city move strangely. My father doesn't call, my sisters do, but only once, each. Like they know I need the space, and Antonio, he doesn't leave. Not once. Not even when I wake up first, or when I spend hours alone in the sunroom reading old letters I used to hide from myself. He gives me distance, but never disappears. We fall into a rhythm. Morning coffee in silence. Afternoon walks through the gardens he never comments on, but always seems to linger behind me for. Evenings curled on my couch, a book in my lap, and his hand resting lightly at my thigh. And at night, we sleep in the same bed. No fear, no pretense. Just warmth, just stillness, just us. One evening, I'm in the kitchen when he walks in, shirt sleeves rolled, that quiet look in his eyes that still slows my breath. He leans on the counter, waits. I pause at the sink, then glance over my shoulder. What? He doesn't answer at first, just studies me. Then, "Do you miss them?" I know what he means. My family, my old life. The version of me that didn't speak until someone asked. I turn the water off, dry my hands. I miss the version of me they thought I was. He waits. So I continue. I miss being useful, being needed, but I don't miss feeling invisible. He walks to me, takes the towel from my hands, and says, "You were never invisible." I look up at him, really look, and the thought strikes me, as it has more than once lately. He was watching long before he was allowed to care. We sit at the small table with 2 chairs and no sharp corners, and we talk. Not about the family, not about the war, but about what comes after. I could leave, I say quietly, start fresh somewhere. You could. Would you come with me? His voice is soft. Yes. But then he adds, you don't have to disappear to be free. That sticks, because part of me wanted that, to vanish, to start over with no ties, no history, no Moretti blood trailing behind me. But then he says, you could build something here, if you wanted, and you wouldn't have to do it alone. The next day, I visit an old bookstore I used to hide in when the estate got too loud. It's dusty and full of crooked shelves, and the owner still calls me the quiet one. I ask if she needs help organizing. She laughs, hands me a box of unsorted returns. That's how it starts. I don't tell Antonio that night, but he knows, because the next morning there's a paper bag on the table. Inside, a new leather journal, unmarked, untouched, ready for whatever I decide comes next. I sit across from him, touch the cover, then look at him. I think I'm staying. He doesn't smile, but something in his shoulders relaxes, and he nods. That's good. Why? He looks at me like the answer is obvious, because I don't want to lose the reason I remembered who I am. We kiss, slow, warm, familiar now, but no less important, because it's not the first time. It's just the first time that nothing waits on the other side. No danger, no secrecy, just us, and a life no one else gets to control. Later, in the quiet of our room, I lie with my head on his chest and ask, "Do you think they'll ever understand?" He brushes his thumb along my back. "No, but they don't have to." "Will they accept us?" "They already have, the second they didn't try to take you back." I nod, and I let the truth of it settle. He's right, because they didn't just lose control, they gave it up. And now, for the first time in my life, it's mine. I curl closer, he pulls me tighter, and we fall asleep the way we always do now. Not from exhaustion, from peace. This story doesn't end with fire. It ends with choosing quiet, with learning that love isn't the loudest thing in the room. It's the stillness that stays long after the noise is gone. I never asked him to save me, but he did. Not from the war, from disappearing inside it. And when I look at him now, I know I wasn't hidden away. I was finally seen. Thank you for staying with me. If you felt the stillness in this story, the kind that holds you when everything else falls apart, then you know why I chose him. Antonio didn't ask me to be brave. He just stayed. And sometimes that's what saves you. My sister's story is next, Francesca's, and the man who locked her away to keep her alive. Until then, I'd love to know where you're listening from, or who you'd want protecting you if the world came undone. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story. See you in the next one.